All right, so today I wanted to introduce you to the works, to the gallery space exhibition. Now, as some of you has never been to this co-curatorial conversation, I thought to give you a little introduction. We will have probably a physical exhibition in June this year. And although this is not 100% certain, it seems very clear that I will be able to physically install the artifacts and responses into a gallery space, even if it is only for taking good photographs for the future. But we are taking this as if the exhibition will happen, and it might be either an online or a face-to-face limited to specific number of people. This that you see here is what we've been discussing in the past few weeks and how we envision the space to be. This is open to discussions. If we decide together as a group to change something, this can absolutely happen. So we've got three main elements: a video documentary of some sort that is yet to be made and yet to be finalized in terms of what's going to be presented in the video. And then there will be a little introductory kind of statement, a cluster of the artifacts and responses that we've been creating during these months of collaboration. And as you can see here, I've got some of the artifacts that I received so far. They are not in scale at the moment. I've just put them there just to have a clear, an initial vision of the works. And then we were thinking to make a cluster of hexagons to define what is Wombenhood, what is this dialogical collaboration, what was the importance, or what is the importance of Wombenhood for those who participated, both being participants or collaborators. All of this is yet to be defined and finalized, so we can discuss about it in the today and in other times as well. So I wanted to show you some of the works that we received so far. This is Dia's fantastic, vibrant textile base artifact. Oh. This is one of the knickers I've been preparing myself. We've been thinking of which kind of support onto which to hook some of the artifacts. And I think that this might be a nice hook because it's semi-transparent in a sense. It might kind of lose itself inside of the hoop. This is another knicker, and I've been playing with hanging in my personal space at home. And again, I am just trying to see how they looks like. This is Edwin response, and I still haven't received them. I'm just using the images that I received so far. Very quite interesting pieces. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so we can enjoy them. Very quite vibrant, and I can't wait to see them in person. Oops. Then we have, some other knicker. This was made by Brianne. And again, I'm trying to think of how to allow the three-dimensionality of the work to show in an exhibition space, as well as probably we might experience them only as photographs. So I really want to give the three-dimensionality via photographs and installation techniques. This is Martha, a work yet to be received. Oh, this is another knicker by Rianne. And here I've been just playing with some of the elements. I'm going to give you some information later on about the reason behind of the hexagon for those who doesn't know. Another element is the documentary. We've been thinking in the past on how to present the dialogue, the dialogical art and the conversation that has happened in these past few months. Of course, we have a very large amount of documentation via the pre-recorded sessions that we hosted in the past few months. And I've been thinking maybe a tiny documentary, something like 10 minutes long documentary of some sort, could be a very useful introductory piece to be installed in a gallery space. And those are some of the questions that I've been asking my tutorials with the university and some other people. And I think they're very informative and something that we as a group can think about. Of course, I will take the burden in a sense of making the documentary, but I am very open to receive any sort of comment by all of you. It doesn't have to happen now, it can happen in the days to come. But yeah, I like to define what is the role of the documentary, what is its importance, is it educational, or is it to introduce some specific aspect of the project and the participation? Will it provide directions on how to read the artifacts and the installation in itself? So will I refer directly to the way the installation is going to be placed? Will it show some of the footage of the previous conversations that we've been having? And will it feature the artifacts? I think that all of these are a yes, but again, I am very open to discussion. Then the third element is the cluster of hexagons defining what is womanhood and what is the dialogical conversation and the dialogical collaboration. And this one here, we were saying last week, the last time we spoke, that we could source those phrases and sentences by a questionnaire that we will be creating with Rianne and sending around the participants. So to collect information from that, so we can have specific questions that we as a group and participants and collaborators can ask or can respond to. But I was thinking the hexagons and the beehive structure, as we called it, is quite important for us and for me as a practitioner specifically, because I've been working a lot with diagrams to analyze and understand how collaborative environments works, what do they do. And among the various diagrams and analogies that they did, the one that was most pertinent with the way we work is the beehive analogy. So in a sense, the way the bee community construct the hive and nurture the community itself is similar to what we've been doing here at Wombenhood. So for example, I see myself as one of the scouting bee that goes around to find the right tree or the right hook where to prop the house, but together as a collection of as a collective of people, we do construct together the hive. So the content and the responses and the discussions that we construct together around the topic of womanhood is yeah, the community like structure and way of working. And this is a new element that we didn't discuss before, and this is something I would really like to implement as well, and is the documentation elements. So the pre-production, the work in progress that helps me and Rianne and us as well to build up this project. And I was thinking to place this maybe near the screen, near the monitor, if we choose the alcove of this 3-wall space as a place where to show the womanhood. And here I've been looking at my works, my sketchbooks, and I've been selecting some of the type of documentation that I think it can be pertinent. Now, I've been working a lot with diagrams, trying to define, as I said before, collaborations. So visually, how do collaborative environments work? Oh. Then I try to, this is more for me as a leading artist than instead of for the whole group, but is how understanding my art practice as a dialogical practitioner sort of documentation of the process, the thinking process behind how do I operate, again, using diagram and sketches. And I think this was done with Yuji, the triangle between artist, audience, and artwork, and what's the dynamic. And this is the sketch, the final sketch, representative the beehive analogy. And I think that this is quite crucial for this project. And then something more specific to my own practice as an artist, how I shifted from process-based and how can I say, sort of object-oriented artist producing artifacts to be showcased in the gallery, to a social practitioner engaged in dialogical conversations. And then I was thinking to include my dissertation, which is focused on the development of this practice and the dialogical art and the conversation as an art form, which is exactly what Wombenhood has been based upon. And then, yeah, maybe we are still constructing the values of womanhood, because this is a very, very new project, and it's not defined in any sense. We feel that we are close to defining the project, but it's still open to amendments. And then these are a set of actions that I've looked at and realized that I was actually doing. And this is pretty much what we've been doing at Wombenhood and the various steps of the collaboration. Sorry, I'm being a little bit lengthy, but I thought maybe it's useful to do so. Then I was thinking to present something to do with how this project was initiated, how did it came to happen. So to present maybe some images of the first initiation through the soft launch that was hosted in September. And because of the responses of people, I realized with Rihanna as well that this was a very important thing, and then people actually cared about the topic around menstruality. And here it was just a phantom of an idea. We didn't have anything really concrete. And after that, in September, we really focused on making this happen and sourcing resources and understanding more in depth what is this womanhood going to be. Let's see if I can move it. Oopsie. Then there are other things like designing the online space. Those are sketches on how the website that you now all have seen, I think, could have been. And is it not working? And then some more, oh, sorry guys, some more interesting sketches of the space with various dates. Those are various possibilities of how the exhibition could be installed, could have been installed, the various elements. Initially, I thought that maybe we could have only worked on knickers, but then this shifted very quickly, and I'm quite happy with that as well, because I feel that the artifacts produced, they are important for the maker, and they are testimony of a conversation that happened. But for me as a practitioner, the dialogue is the main art form. So the responses are, in a sense, secondary to the conversation and human relationship that is formed in these months. And then here, various passages of envisioning the installation up to basically today. We're almost there, guys. Then I was thinking to present the logo. So here is a very full, interesting background of how did Wombenhood started, why is this going on like that? The reason behind the logo, which I don't have here, but we did like a lot of thinking about it. Here a mind map or brainstorm of the various titles that we could give, sketchbooks of the physical drawing. We're almost done. And then another important element has been the the DIY Knicker Kit pack, which I still got a few, and I thought maybe to install one Knicker Kit pack with the fabric and the pamphlet in the gallery space as a proof of the collaborative aspect, but maybe also to invite people, should it be open to the public, to continue this exploration together in the future. And then maybe some testing, some test of responses to be placed in the gallery space. I've got these hexagons on debond, printed on debond, which they are not going to be part of the exhibition anymore, but this is a good, interesting process to showcase, I feel. And I finished. So I would really like to put this to open just the conversation, and if you want, we can discuss on the individual blocks of sort of content. I think that the most exciting for now for everyone is the responses. So maybe if we want to start with this one, or do you prefer with some other?
Valeria, can I just ask a very practical question? How long do we have to discuss?
I was thinking at least an hour, so up to 7. If we want, we can stay longer. This is absolutely up to us.
Great.
Yeah. If someone need to go at a certain point earlier than that, maybe the person can come forward and contribute first.
I'll go again then. I have a general rule, which I think some of you know, and Rick knows me, that if there's silence for about more than 3 seconds, I normally speak. Really value the beautiful responses from Dia, Martha, and Edwin. They're excellent, really exceptionally interesting, and bring the whole thing to life, and also demonstrate how dialogue doesn't have to happen in local context. You can reach across the world and things are able to. In the event that they don't arrive in time for the exhibition, or in the future, there's an exhibition thing, do you have a contingency as to how you would display them? Would they be printed, prints of, and things like that?
Yeah, they could be definitely printed if there is the will to do so by the participant. For example, we've been testing these debond prints. Let me put them again. And they look quite nice. And the only issue that I might see is the quality of the photograph documentation that the participant has done prior to shipping the knicker. So that if we don't have a good quality enough, we can print it in a smaller size, or if it's best as a digital image, we can install a tiny monitor of some sort in the space, like it could be a tablet as small as that, propped on the wall, and that can be effective enough, I think. But yeah, I'm gonna put that as in the risk assessment as a possibility for a potential issue.
Indeed. And even just to consider it in terms of once the exhibition itself, physical exhibition, comes down, how those works will be continued to be displayed as part of an ongoing engagement with the work entirely.
This is the exciting bit, I think. Dia, I believe you said that there could be the possibility to maybe send these cluster of responses around in a touring open collaboration, so that, let's say that we manage to get fundings and continue the DIY Knicker Kit project, the collaboration can happen again around the world, and maybe we can find exhibition spaces in the various cities or nations where the participants come from, and that can tour and grow in size depending upon the participants that gather themselves into this project. So that could be getting bigger and bigger the more it tours and the more it grows in time. So yeah, this is definitely a thing that it has been said, and it's in the back of my mind of things for the future.
And as far as the chapters go, I think you've got the right chapters, and it's a really good point you made. Got your message earlier on about the tutor and the actual documentation of the project process to be included somehow. Yeah, a very necessary,
Yeah,
useful thing to kind of display.
I,
Definitely.
I believe that it has been very quite difficult to define what's important to place in a gallery space in terms of documentation, because it is complex to understand, being so much inside of the project, what is the most relevant moment. But I feel that all these drawings and sketches of envisioning the space, they kind of, I think that they convey the thinking behind it and the various possibilities. And yeah, I feel that there is potential in these drawings as well as in the diagrams. Let me put them again, because even if they're sketched on secondhand paper, you can see behind there are some lines from what's behind of the page. I feel that this process that I went through in defining other collaborations by artists working right now, this has helped me understand as an artist which sort of space I'm interested in creating, what's the type of care that I as an artist like to give to the participants and collaborators. And something that I've noticed is that often leading artists in collaborative projects, they ask informations from the public or the participants, and there is no time to, or maybe will, to exchange in conversations, in dialogue. There is no return of the favor, in a sense, for the participant. And this is something I am really interested in. And I feel that this large amount of analysis that I've been doing, it could give a very interesting understanding of the time I've spent in creating the space. So yeah, right now I am very much waiting for the responses to arrive so that I can physically place them together on the wall to see how they look together. What's the size of the wall space that is needed for them to be displayed with so that they've got enough space to breathe as individual pieces as well as a collective of a cluster of responses. And later in the after Easter, we will be sharing the questionnaire across the group of participants so that we can make this cluster. But I'm really curious to know, what do you think about that? Is the beehive analogy that I've been making, does it resonate with you, or is it something that I'm fixed into and maybe it's not the same for you as a group?
I quite like it. I think we spoke about this before, and it kind of just the idea of it being the strongest, you know, bond in nature and stuff. And I think that's quite interesting in terms of a group of people who are talking about something quite intimate and quite, you know, I suppose unspoken about, and just the way that they are all interlinked, even if, like you said, like the practices are from all over the world. And it's quite also interesting to think about it in terms of like now, and the fact that we're all doing this on Zoom and online, and it's not actually a bond that's kind of happened in person, but something that's happened online. So I totally resonate with the beehive like imagery. So yeah.
Brilliant, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm looking at the diagram and I see those are hexagons. And so they are together, but they are not really together. Because the issue of boundaries, you can see that each character, each hexagon is completely limited by a fence or by the shape. And so they are close to each other. There is a proximity, but there is no circulation, I may say, from one to the other, because there should be, between those lines, there should be some type of way, gate, or to communicate. So how do they communicate being completely circumscribed by those lines? And I'm just, it's a theoretical question about, you know, how do you communicate when you are completely enclosed in your own sphere, on space, and you are just next to somebody who's also enclosed in their own space, and you continue like that. But so what type of communication are we talking about? And you say that the most important is the conversation as an art form. So what type of conversation are we going to have if we're completely enclosed in our own space? Is there, I mean, I'm just trying to understand the illustration, what I'm seeing. And also there are some hexagons that are completely independent. There's no connection with the neighbor. They are floating in the air in those, you know, I can see myself there. So they are not completely close. They are not too far either, but yeah. And then there are the distance. There is even one at the bottom that is the space between all the other people is very small, but still, so there is one side that's connected, and the hexagon and the other one are not. So this is another type of configuration also of communication. How would that, I mean, if we look at this this, how do you call it, drawings or something. So I think it's very interesting because it tells a lot about possibility of communication. How do we communicate? Yeah, so that's all. I don't know if this is helpful, but and also I see some different colors. So what's the connection between all those colors? Some which mean that within the group, I mean, this is like a collaboration at many levels, because some of the color of the hexagon is shared by some other people. So there is one which is a light purple, and then you have another type of communication because you have all the blue guys or the blue girls or whatever, the blue people, blue, and then you have the brown. So you have like 3 colors, and they would, I don't know what they would add to the conversation.
Thank you for all this question. Is actually that was so much to think about. So first of all, this drawing is not the final vision of what the beehive structure can be or will be. I've literally just propped it there as a multitude of things. It's not really the final vision of that, but because of the organic mistakes that I've made in the process, this is the maximum I can zoom in. These open to many points. So the first one was the frame, the brown frame, and how how it makes the individual hexagon feel more isolated from the others. I saw that as an actual, the line of conjunction from one to the other, more than, oh, maybe I'm zooming out, more than a frame that isolated the response. So this could be something to discuss, absolutely. If we feel as a group that this element of inner frame brings more obstacles to the dialogical collaboration and the horizontal hierarchy and way we've been communicating, then maybe there is another solution. Maybe we don't need to have this light brown frame around the hexagons, and they can be monochrome or of different type of colors depending on something more specific. Then you said that they are independently floating in a space. That was, so they need at the beginning, let's see if I can put it back. At the beginning of how we envision the space, I can't remember where it was. Let me go there. When at the very beginning we started envisioning the beehive structure as a way to, that's it, as a way to collect the digital responses of people, we saw it in this way, so that every hexagon was physically attached to one another, and every hexagon would have been filled with the actual responses of people. So to have maybe an archive of images of all the physical responses, and maybe some poems, some written words, some text that was very relevant because was seen as part of the responses made by the participants into the collaboration. But now that we decided to use the actual physical objects instead of the digital responses or the digital photographs of the physical objects in the gallery space, I've been just using, in a sense, this hexagon structure as an initial prop to think about this possible cluster that defines what is womanhood. And the reason why I was thinking to make them individually hang as individual hexagon is because they can then be moved, shifted around in a gallery context or in a physical space, so that they're in any way fixed. The sentences, they don't have to be, for example, placed horizontally as we would read a normal text. They can be turned around. So for example, if we have the central hexagon with the title Wombenhood and exploring the field of menstruality being the topic that we have been discussing around, and all the responses either being phrases or individual words or sentences to define what is womanhood, what is the dialogue, the dialogical process. They might even be placed in a circular way, so that some of the phrases will be actually upside down in the space. And I really like the individuality of each piece so that it can be reassembled for different type of situations. And then you've mentioned the possibility of communication given by the different colors. So why these colors? Right now, I don't have a reason for the specific color. I just used the colors we've been adopting as a background for womanhood so far. So I've used those background that you've seen in the various posters and Instagram posts that we've been doing. So there is no right in this moment, there is no specific meaning behind the colors, other than the fact that they were used. There is a theory behind the colors that I haven't mentioned, not even to Rihanna, actually, now that I think about that, and there is this element of the Waldorf school that I went to, and I've used their method of sponges and painting techniques to create the background environment of womanhood. So for example, even this document here, the background is always the same, is made with primary colors, soft, gentle, water-based and organic made colors in this to create this atmosphere. So another thinking, so this is the reason behind the colors being only made with the red, yellow and blue mixed together. So we can definitely, we are a definite number of people. We could decide, for example, that every one of us has got a specific color, and maybe that our responses are embedded in a specific color. Or if we think that the beehive structure should retain a how can I say, monochromy, because it's the house or the beehive as one colored room, we could define a specific background that all hexagons will have without having any inner frame, so that if we want to place them absolutely close to one another, we can have a one panel with no differences and just a series of words and sentences floating in this hexagonal cluster. I think I responded to all the points, have I?
Yes. Okay. I was suggesting that, how about leaving it the way it is, but opening some doors between the, the lines. So to show that there's fluidity, that's communication, that's exchange, circulation. So instead of having each of those hexagons completely circumscribed, but having like an opening, like two lines, like representing a door, and even I would put doors. I think I would put some doors, like miniature little doors, so or windows, or some places where we can go from one enclosed space to an open space. That's just an idea. Yeah, but you can also say that a door is very limited.
I feel that probably now that we are going really much into conceptual and the meaning and reasoning behind the actual cluster of hexagons, we can really define everything in depth. And I was thinking probably not having the frame, or you proposed something. We had a private conversation a little while ago.
I literally just looked into that, actually. It just nearly opened that up.
I thought you would have. Do you want to share the screen?
Yeah. Can I can't say it yet. One of the things I was going to say, actually, that the reason why, or rather a reason why the hexagons were considered were as an alternative to putting everything into rectangular frames and having the usual kind of boxing. So there's definitely no connection. There's just the standard curatorial practice of displaying stuff. So the hexagons were an idea of actually putting them still into each container, but showing that interconnectivity as opposed to the standard model of doing things. Right, how do I do this?
I think I allowed you to.
You have?
Yes.
Okay. So, can you see that? Is that visible?
Yeah.
So this was almost a little bit like what Martha's saying. So you've got the space, but you've got these, I thought of maybe a red thread that connects each to each other. Then you can have different size of hexagons. These white hexagons with the circular object in them, these were to consider the hoop frames to be hung in a space where the hexagon is implied. So you don't necessarily have to see the hexagon, but it's in proportion in distance to another hexagon. This one's kind of on its own in distance, so but it's still connected by a thread and logic and proportion and geometry. It's not so randomized anymore. So there's potential of kind of playing around with the form, but as I think what Martha's implying as well is that with the principle. So it can't just be a nice thing. It has to say something within it. So there's a principle that's being spoken. You have this, don't you, Valeria? Do you have the file for this? I've already sent it to you.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. You know, may I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I really like the idea of the grid. I really love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you have all this connection, but at the same time, each entity is independent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there are ways to connect, but you still keep your identity. But you are part of a bigger picture with the grid, with the lines. I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
And also I like the different sizes that you have, like some are small, some are bigger, you know, to show the diversity.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. And also the way it's displayed on space. You have one that is further, but it still belongs to it.
Mm-hmm.
Still belong to the group, but it's further. Maybe this creature or whatever didn't get it or something, you know. But he's going to get it. So like a road, like a circulation, you know, like a city, like a neighborhood, you know, like. So I really like it. I really like it. It's very interesting.
It's funny you say this. There's a thing that I'll put a link into it now actually. Let me do this now. I'll stop sharing now and I'll send you the link. I'll stop sharing. There's I think he's I don't know what you call him really, a theorist, a guy called John Conway, I think it's his name. Yeah, John Horton Conway. It's called The Game of Life. I'm not going to bore you too much. You might already know this anyway. But it reminded me, especially as Martha was talking, this is a link to the Wikipedia. There's also an animation that's connected to this. It's quite complicated, but it's not that complicated. Essentially what it says is that there's this thing called the game of life, depending if you call it a game or you can call it life if you call it life. And there's a whole kind of interesting philosophy between that. But any object that is connected, any cell that is connected to one thing will not last long. It has to be connected to two. And on it goes. It's I don't want to go into too much, it's hogging the meeting, but I've put a link up in there. It might be useful to look at the principles of that. Kind of the point being to Martha's point is that one hexagon that's like right in the corner over there, that actually might be the most healthy. The other ones are overcrowded, and that will that's not a good thing either. So playfully kind of considering those things. The other idea I had, Valeria, was briefly that based on Martha's provocation is that the beehive, essentially all they're trying to do is make a circle, but because the circle meets a circle and then it will become these lines at hexagons. So maybe that your modules of hexagons are set in some kind of glue, and then the hexagons are squished together and these lovely little squishy liquid walls kind of come through, which is quite a nice kind of bodily fluid-like thing that's going on, as well as a connectivity, and that's the communicative adhesion. So you could continue the current idea, everything's the same, but they're all squished together and you feel this kind of like honey-like goo coming out. That could be a potential. solution as well.
Yeah, I'm sketching that as well. Dia, I've noticed that you were about to say something.
I just wanted to, I think there's some really great possibilities with the different ideas. I only saw G's diagram briefly. I really liked your explanation of it, what I just caught. And I noticed, Valeria, that you had another diagram that you showed us as we were talking about different possibilities, where there were hexagonal and other kind of morphed shapes behind some of the larger responses. So I don't know if you're just playing with that as an idea, because the other kind of model we saw didn't have anything in the back. Yeah, that one. So you had a model with nothing in the background for those pieces, and then you have this model.
Yeah, this is actually a sketch that I wanted to introduce after this conversation that we just had, because this was an initial thinking after the discussion with G about these lines that sort of connect every piece. And you, sorry, I can't zoom more, but you
Well,
can
I
see
personally think that there's a lot of good things going for you with this idea. So I think like it's based on the hexagonal formation to the right, but it kind of adds on to that. So I think, I don't know. So I think there's some good things to consider, because they're all connected with some kind of line. The colors morph into one another more, so it seems more natural and organic. And has that natural, for lack of a better word, bleeding effect of the colors going into one another, as you might have with watercolor, for example. And then the lines that do connect are not completely straight, so they have this more organic looking aesthetic to it. So I don't know if you want to consider that type of modeling or that type of presentation for the other wall, but you might consider just doing that, you know, and incorporating some of what G had done with maybe circular shapes as well. Anyway, just a thought. I also wanted to say, with the documentation and preparation of like the handmade diagrams, the drawings, I'm not sure if what you have here to your left of this video is supposed to be that, but I think you should consider its own separate wall if there's space.
Yeah.
Have that. And I think it's important enough. And I also think that you could, because you're wondering, you know, what's important, what's not. I mean, that's so subjective. I don't know. You can just almost make an arbitrary decision on that, since you're the artist, but you're also a lead curator here, you know. You could take some of the diagrams and drawings you've done and blow them up into a larger scale, and then you can kind of piece out a little more. So then if people are looking at something, whether it's a book form or a collage, they see some parts that are larger where they can really kind of get more of the smaller detailed information to look at. And that's another kind of curatorial choice almost. So you could consider that too.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Regarding, can we go back to the diagram that you showed before with all the the photograph of the works.
Yeah. This one?
No, where we were just talking about the difference between this presentation and then the beehive. Yeah, can we go back to that one? Yeah, I see a problem there.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is that there is a central figure.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because of the size, it's going to be complicated. And also there is this mirroring, you know, so you have in the middle, you have that important work of shape. And then it's organizing the whole space, because then on each side, you know, it's like having a central figure, and then you have, you know, like the symmetry. One, it's like the body. You have the body, and you have one arm on the right and one arm on the left. So I mean, the positive thing about this is that I really like what I can't remember the name of the Dia. I think it's your name, Dia. Is it the right pronunciation? How do you pronounce it?
Yes, it's Dia. Thank you.
Dia, yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Thank you. So I really like what you talked about the way they are connected. It's true, you know. I love it because it's not a very straight line, and then the colors are different and emerging. And you know, I agree with that. But I was thinking about the difference between the rhizome and the root. I don't know if this is the right pronunciation. I never know if it's a rhizome or rhizome. How do you say it?
Both are right, but
I'm sorry.
Rhizome is the correct pronunciation.
Yeah, rhizome. Yeah, okay, the rhizome. So it's like spreading, you know, spreading the information. The root is just one, it's centered, but the rhizome, it goes everywhere. I'm thinking about Deleuze, you know, talking about this philosopher, you know, talking about the rhizome. And so I would make it even more dispersed. I would make it more anarchic. I mean, more, but to have that central figure, of course, as I said before, it's going to be complicated because it's bigger than the other. But you don't want to have one work that is going to be more important than the others. Mm-hmm. And how are you going to do that? It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard because it's bigger. That's a reality. The size is bigger. So how do you do this?
What if you put the larger one off to the side? So you can't necessarily change the sizes of the responses, but if you put it to the side so that it kind of decreases its centrality, maybe you could do that.
Yes, yeah. I think that's the right word, centrality.
Doesn't have to be in the middle because it's the biggest one.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I've only just noticed it. I mean, I have seen this diagram you sent through the other day. Maybe it's a silly idea, and it's a bit too contrived, but could you represent the idea of the ovaries and the womb as the arrangement? So it feels like it's kind of fountain, flourishing set of objects that actually simultaneously have to look like the sort of, you know, the symmetry of the womb itself. You know, you could playfully have that. Playing with the organic, combining these various ideas, the kind of the fact that it's an organic organ, part of the body, the organic nature of the collaborations and meetings, the rhizomatic kind of connections of things. And then the whole set, you go from rectangle to this organic and to this kind of a new kind of arrangement of hexagons. So there's this kind of conversation happening between the three walls. And the documentation is this other, it's my favorite analogy about the four sides of the story. It's the fourth side of the story that nobody ever gets to see, which is actually the story side of the story. Just as a quick detail, it really depends on obviously what the actual electrical plug socket situation is, but it might be fun to have the wire for the television also at an angle that is like 30 degrees or 60 degrees, like a hexagon would. So it feels like this TV screen is also trying to be part of this hexagonal world.
You know, write that one. It might be possible because I think that all the plugs are in the middle of the room. I don't know if this will be constant and consistent across the space, but I've put a little note, and surely I will, as soon as I've got all the artifacts, I have a lot of hopefully time to combine them in different ways, and then I would like to send some photos of the various combinations so that I can feedback with everyone, and we can discuss this even further in another conversation, not necessarily just before the exhibition, but it could be as soon as I've got a few options, which I think I will be receiving the artifacts probably in the week immediately after Easter. And one thing that I was thinking about Dia's piece, of course, these objects are not in real scale. This is what I thought they might be according to what I thought the actual size was. So it might be that probably Dia's work is not as big as I think it is, although I don't know, maybe Dia, you can say something about it.
I don't have the measurements right in front of me. I have a similar frame for a different piece that I could measure to get a better idea.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
and I can give that to you.
absolutely. But in general,
We have to go, but thank you so
thank you,
much.
Dia. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.
Okay.
Good to meet you.
One thing that I was thinking.
Valeria?
Yeah, please, Edwin.
Yes. When you receive the box with the installation I sent, you'll see that the underwears that I created. There's actually one piece. They're going to be hanging as you put your laundry outside or your patio to dry, and they're going to be hanging with the clips. As thinking, that's how I created the installation. So I don't know, maybe when you get that, you will see, you will showcase the art pieces. The instructions are there, but it's optional. It's up to you how will you like to do it. But I included a string, and I put the clips and all the underwears that I put some pictures as well of the installation in my patio where I took the picture where they're hanging, and I even created a small video that I may send you in the near future. But that will be giving you another the works are just part of your project, which will be, as the cherry on the top. Basically, all the documentation, all the stuff that you have been doing behind is the structure. What we are contributing to your project is just our perspective or how we see it or how we understand it. But, I don't know how long do you have or how big is the space that you have to work with, but you will have a lot of fun creating this exhibition because you already think the processes the most enjoyable, and the show is just to let people know this is what it was done, but the important parts are what you show and how you created those sketches and the ideas and how you get to this point or showing the works. So I think when you get all the works and then you have it in front of you, then you can play with them and select the best possible way to display the works. So that's all I have to say for right now. I'm new here, so I'm very enjoying the conversation. I'm listening and having a great time.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate. And I think that there is definitely the possibility to hang the work in the way it was designed to be. And maybe the strings can play a nice role in that as well. So maybe, let's say that the space might be just the wall. Probably I could be hanging them in a diagonal way, or not necessarily in a horizontal way, but they can be hanged connected by this very string that you send, and maybe that string can exactly sit where the lines are going to sit, and maybe your pieces might be floating in this sort of space, maybe as they are now, I don't know, and that they can retain the initial idea of you as the maker of this artifact and be encapsulated in the diagram. I call it diagram, yeah, in the diagram of this conversation through the objects. And I've noticed that I was thinking to answer Martha's question about the centerpiece, right? I was actually, when I did the drawing, I noticed at the end, looking behind, that this looked like exactly what you said, the centerpiece, with this kind of magnitude in a sense. And of course, when every object will be present in the space, probably things will come together in a way that every object, every artifact can have a good relevance visually, so that no object, no artifact is shadowed by what's near it. And maybe even the amount of color that was given in this kind of hexagonal shape, maybe this is also what is really making this work standing out so much. Because, for example, I've been thinking, should I only enclose this part in this organic hexagonal shape and let this red be floating, and maybe only painting behind it, so that there is a remnant of this backdrop watercolor paint, and then at the end of it continue the junction to the other pieces, so that it doesn't have all of this mass of color. Probably that gives it the majority of the perception of this centrality, also being in the middle as well. And it's curious, it might be very interesting to test and see to create this womb-like ripple of circles of sort of, yeah, like mimicking, I'm gonna put that one there a second, mimicking this, the symbol, the logo. So there is a centrality, but then there are ripples expanding. So maybe this is something I can play with. And surely, Edwin, I can't wait to receive the artifacts. Because of course, I've been working with images, and I've been cutting out every image of objects I've been receiving so far, but having the physical object with me, it will give me the sense of the reality of this three-dimensional piece. And I will have fun. I am so excited about them. And yeah, I think it is possible to have a fourth wall, most certainly. And it doesn't, I have made this little alcove to sort of give this sense of circle and closure and being part of some private space or sharing space. So I wonder if, for example, there is going to be a fourth wall with a point of access, for example, around about here. People tend to read the room from left to right, and then they come out again. So in a sense, right in front of the central cluster. There could be the documentation wall with this conglomeration of different document images and sketches, the pamphlets, so that they can be all in dialogue to one another. Um, hmm, hmm. And to achieve something of this nature with this, I try to maintain an hexagon shape, even though it's very fluid and uneven. And I can try and do that for real on the wall using the same colors and finding a way to make these sort of patterns after the works are defined. This could be tested. If for any reason the wall is not responding well to the paint, or it doesn't look as good as it seems in this initial sketch, there are going to be other possibilities for sure, like the strings that G was referring to, with this sort of continuity and sense of belonging to the same cluster, even if the objects are floating in a space. Right. I would think that if we don't have any questions or other points to discuss, we can leave it as it is now, and we can talk again later on in the future. What do you think? What would you like?
Yeah, I think.
Hopefully by the next time you will already have the pieces with you, and then you will have another, another perspective for how you're going to display the show. Are you going to have any forms where people can leave their thoughts after viewing the show? That would help. That would be very interesting to see the response of the community, because it's not you come and see the show, and then you want to capture that thoughts immediately. Okay, what do I getting from this? Do I like it? I don't like it. Is it important or not? And it will give you a feedback, for the stuff that could have been improved, or the stuff that was very successful. But just having a show and having everything put together is already a success. But I think that the show is not complete until people seen it, because you could see it, you can install it, but if nobody will see it, then you will have no response. You don't know what the end result will be, and that's probably the greatest thing after all. Our project is not finished until the community have seen it and they have talked about it. And this is what you want. You want to open a conversation. Wanted to have people talk about it, and hopefully, this become a part of our daily lives, and it's now not going to be the taboo that has been up to today. So thank you for the invitation. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for participating. And the reality is that the university doesn't know if there will be a physical show. All this year, everything has been planned for a degree show to be physically hosted. And for academic purposes and grading purposes, I will be physically installing everything as if there would have been public or visiting people coming into the installation space. The reality of fact is that I don't know if that will be the case. Should that not be the case, the best I can do is to take videos and good photographs of the installation space, giving good importance to the three-dimensionality of the artifacts installed and a sense of the physical space, probably will be able to make a type of sketch as we are seeing now, more like properly done, like three-dimensional, so that maybe not at 360 degree, because I'm not that expert, but I can try and present the physicality of the space via images and videos. And if there would have been, if we will have an open studio, or rather an open exhibition with people coming, definitely a feedback form could be an interesting element to have. For COVID purposes, I don't know if you can physically have the old kind of book with the pen, as I've been doing in the past. And I can definitely put that one as a point for the risk assessment to consider. But there could be, we have here on the left, for example, there are these two pages. Every student will have a statement, an artist statement, and the description of the installation. And in this space here, it was my, I wanted to place not only the description of what's in the space, but acknowledging everyone participating as participants and collaborator, and stating the fact that this is an open project that we are intending to continue, so that for people interested in joining, they can take the link that I will be placing in this the statement, and then I can definitely create a link for a survey, so that if people, maybe let's say that we can have an online degree show and there will be an opening and all of that, people can experience virtually the space. I know it's not the same at all, but people might have a sense of what they've seen, and maybe they can give a feedback according to the digital experience. And I can't wait to actually have the possibility to go into a gallery and see physical works, because the digital is different. But surely I've put the comment here, the note about the feedback form. And one thing that we are keen to do for the participants and collaborators of this project is to submit a feedback, no, what's it called, a questionnaire, to both create the kind of hexagonal cluster here to define what is womanhood, if we feel that this is still important and necessary in the space, but also is a chance for you to express what was important in this collaboration, what worked, what didn't work, if there is a desire to continue, and in which way, so that I really value horizontal hierarchy, which for me is the offering the possibility to co-construct an idea, a space like this. So for example, in the future, we've been already inviting some of the participants in hosting workshops and discussions and talks under the umbrella of the DIY Knicker Kit Project, because I feel that this is a very good way to invite people that are not artists as well as artists into hosting content, because they have got personal knowledge that they can share. So for example, one of the participants, Adriana, she hosted a talk and a workshop about finding sacredness in the body. And she is not an artist, although she uses artistic and creative forms to express her feelings and her and to express herself. And she was never invited to host the workshop as a sitting artist. So this is an element of horizontal hierarchy, as well as these co-curatorial conversations, which in a different collaboration we wouldn't have had, because usually participants are asked to produce something in response to the theme, ship the thing, the objects or the artifact, and this is it. There is no contribution to the actual showcase of the works as a collective. Yeah, so this is Edwin, because this is the first time we actually meet. this is a new way of working for me. I am an emerging artist, and this is the first time as an artist that I was able to initiate a project of this magnitude, really. And the fact that it has become international, it's very important because it feels that this topic, it really does reach out to different communities in different parts of the world. So yeah, I just wanted to say that it's very, very important that we have all of you participating. Yeah, right? I'm so happy. Yeah, very, very important. That one thing for me that was actually very relevant is the inclusion of the primary and the secondary party. We at Wombenhood have created a series of vocabulary to define the people participating. So the primary party are the menstruals, people that menstruate or will menstruate or menstruated in the past, and that have wombs or have had wombs, and they identify as menstruals. So those people that can give birth and experience the menstruality and menstrual cycle and menopause in their lifetime. And the secondary party are those that have never experienced menstruation and they cannot experience menstruation. So in this case, G and U would be part of the secondary party under our in our eyes. So yeah, I think that to bring social change, everyone has to be included, not only the person or the people that, in this case, the topic of menstruality is particularly relevant. The taboo is particularly heavy on the menstruals, but if the secondary party is not invited, how is a taboo expected to be resolved if it is discussed only among the group of people that do experience the taboo? Like, it's a kind of self, it's a null circle. It doesn't actually bring to change. So yeah, super excited to have secondary party in the project. Thank you so much for giving up your time and your responses. And actually today, I forgot to say, I did receive a letter by the Royal Mail, by the post, saying that there is a package that is waiting to be collected, and there was either a problem with the stamp that the stamp didn't cover the transition to arrive here in the UK, or something else to do with it. So I had to cover the expenses of that package, which is fine to me. I don't know which one it is though. I don't know if it's Edwin, if it's Martha, or if it's Dia, because he only said USA, the USA. So I actually have no idea whose parcel is waiting, and it will be shipped on Monday.
Well, you know, if it's me, let me know. I'll pay for it.
Okay.
Let me know how much it is. Yeah, of course.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you so much for joining. And for you, it's morning, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now it's 12:30.
Oh, brilliant! You're right for lunchtime.
Lunchtime.
Lunchtime. I'll let you go then. Thank you so much.
Valeria. Thank you.
And I will be posting this video as usual. And also I will add this PowerPoint on the website so that if you want to look at it later, you can do so. And if you wish to send some link of the people we referenced today, like Martha, I remember you mentioning somebody, but I wasn't quick enough to write down the name. If you think about some interesting link that I can place on the website alongside the video, just send us the link via the email, or if you have it even now, if you want to, on the chat, on the Zoom chat.
I made a note of Marta's comment. It was Gilles Deleuze. I've made a note anyway, so I can follow that up. But yeah, Marta can also.
Okay.
I have a few notes. Do you want to meet straight after this meeting just to debrief? Would that be useful? Was you too
The
tired?
two of us, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can stay along longer.
Great. I can stick around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's my mentor, as G mentioned before. I'm doing many different mentorship type of programs, but G has been my mentor for over a year now.
Very good.
Yeah,
Congratulations. Good job.
Thank you. It's wonderful.
Thank you
to
very
see.
much for having me. They called me for lunch, so I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you, Edwin.
Have a good day.
Nice meeting you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Martha.
Bye-bye.
Excuse me, Valeria, before I have to go too, but I'm very, very interested, you know, the question of the sacredness of the body. This is something that is the most important, vital to my art practice, you know, the sanctity of the body. So how can I see that video?
I show you. Let me share the screen a second. Oops. It's a bit slow, I think. So if you go on our website, I don't know why it's being so slow. I think it's my internet.
Are you doing that, Martha? I could just say I've really enjoyed your blouse.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, it's been really wonderful.
Thank you so much. You know, this comes from I think it's either Mexico or Guatemala.
See.
Mexico.
And
yesterday.
All embroidered, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's embroidered. Yeah, it's embroidered on velvet.
Whoa.
Embroidered on velvet, and it's really neat. It's called a huipil, Huipil. Huipil, Huipil. Huipil.
Nice.
Yeah, I just love this.
Like, really, yesterday night I was looking at Mexican embroidery because I really like embroidering, and I was looking at this drawing you have in the blouse.
Yeah,
so what the chance. Yeah. I found it. So if you click, I put the link on the chat, but in general, if you go on our website,
okay,
see up here, this one here, you just scroll down up to when you find all the
okay, I'll find it. Yeah, okay, it's there. Okay,
and this is here. You've got the title, and this is part 1 of 2. This is the
sacredness. Okay.
And you can download the PDF of the discussion that happened. Okay. And then if you go a little more down, there is the part 2, which is the workshop that we did. And it was a, what can I say, collages or assemblages workshop. And here's some, so you can find everything here on the website.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm supposed to see you on the 29th of March.
We have the last, what's it called? The conclusion of the part 1 of the DIY Knicker Kit project at 6 p.m. on Monday the 29th. That one is to sort of say where we are at, what are we planning to do for the future, and just to see how everyone is doing. Those that we didn't meet up in the past few weeks, to remind the deadline for those who haven't sent the knickers or the responses yet. And then after that, we will go silent for a little bit. This doesn't mean that we're disappearing. I mean, if we want to have a conversation, I'm sure we can find the time to do so. But that will be the time for understanding how to install everything, create this documentary video, the questionnaire, which is of primary importance to us, and and then finalizing a bit of everything.
You know, I have a question. It's very, very simple one. Okay, I miscalculated, and this is already the second time, because it's 6 p.m. So I thought it was going to be 10 a.m. for me. So it's only 7 hours difference.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let me
because
check.
it's 9 hours with France. So I thought it was 8 hours with English.
I am so confused all the time because I've got people. 12:39. It's 12:39 at your place.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's 7:39 here.
7 hours difference.
Oh, it's 7 hours. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why, I was concerned, because I even called you and left a message on your answering machine.
Ah, that was you. I thought,
Yeah, that was me.
California.
I was desperate. I said,
Yeah.
I can't miss that.
Oh, you can, if you want, I can save the number, but we can, if you want, we can communicate with WhatsApp if you have it on your phone, so that you don't pay the charges.
Oh, because I have like 1,000 minutes for nothing. I mean, it's like I don't have any problem for calling.
Yeah.
Thank you. For
Oh, absolutely. I hope it was enjoyable. Be long, probably, but
it was wonderful. I was a little apprehensive. I didn't know what's going to happen, but I enjoyed wonderful the conversation, and it's was great. Thank you.
thank you so much, Marta.
Thank you, everybody.
I'll see you on Monday then.
Yes.
Have a good day, evening, huh?
Thank you.
Good to meet you, Martha. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.